One single thought has the power to change the course of your entire life. Dr. Wayne Dyer believed that when we shift our mindset, we shift our destiny. In this speech, we'll explore how embracing just one powerful thought can transform the way you see yourself, your challenges, and your future. Let's unlock the wisdom that leads to a life of purpose, peace, and limitless possibilities. Every great change in the history of humanity has always begun with one simple thought. Every breakthrough, every invention, every act of courage that altered the course of life started in the mind of someone who dared to think differently. A single thought has the power to spark revolutions, to heal wounds, to open doors that seemed forever locked, and to reshape a person's destiny. When you pause to reflect on this truth, you begin to realize that the life you live today is nothing more than the accumulation of the thoughts you allowed to dominate your mind yesterday. If your current reality is filled with peace, joy, and progress, it is because you held on to empowering thoughts that created those experiences. If it is weighed down with worry, fear, or limitation, it is because the thoughts that occupied your mind planted seeds that grew into the life you now see. The power of a single thought lies not in its complexity, but in its ability to redirect the energy of your entire being. One thought can either shackle you in chains of limitation or release you into the freedom of possibility. Consider a person who has lived years believing they are not good enough, not smart enough, or not deserving of love. That one toxic thought becomes the lens through which they see every opportunity, every challenge, and every relationship. It influences the choices they make, the risks they avoid, and the dreams they never dare to pursue. On the other hand, imagine the power of one thought that says, "I am worthy." The moment a person embraces that belief, their entire life trajectory shifts. They walk differently, they speak with confidence, they see opportunities instead of obstacles, and they dare to reach for goals that once seemed impossible. The only difference between the two is a single thought. Thoughts are like seeds. When you plant them in the fertile soil of your mind, they grow into experiences that shape your destiny. You cannot plant seeds of negativity and expect to harvest joy. You cannot entertain thoughts of scarcity and expect abundance to flow into your life. You cannot dwell on fear and expect to live in peace. The harvest always matches the seed, and the seed is always a thought. The beauty of this realization is that you are never trapped by your past thoughts. You have the power in this very moment to plant a new thought, and that new thought can begin to grow into a new reality. Every day offers you the chance to choose what kind of seeds you want to plant in your mind. If you look at the stories of people who have transformed their lives, you will find that the journey almost always began with a single thought. A man who spent years in poverty finally thinks, "I deserve more than this," and that thought leads him to take steps toward financial independence. A woman trapped in a cycle of unhealthy relationships finally thinks, "I am worthy of love and respect," and that thought gives her the courage to walk away and create a new life. Someone struggling with illness may hold on to the thought, "I can heal," and that belief inspires them to adopt habits and treatments that restore their health. Every victory begins in the mind before it manifests in reality. The power of a single thought is not only personal, it is universal. Nations have been born because someone believed in freedom. Scientific discoveries that changed the course of history began with someone daring to think differently. Electricity, airplanes, the internet, all of these were once just a thought in the mind of an individual who refused to dismiss it. The Wright brothers had a thought that humans could fly when the entire world told them it was impossible. Thomas Edison had a thought that darkness could be banished with light when people laughed at the absurdity of it. These men were not superhuman. They were simply individuals who recognized the power of one persistent thought and nurtured it until it became reality. In your own life, the same principle applies. You may not be inventing airplanes or light bulbs, but the direction of your life depends on which thoughts you choose to empower. If you tell yourself repeatedly, "I can't do this," you will find reasons to prove yourself right. But if you hold on to the thought, "I will find a way," doors that were once invisible will begin to appear. The universe responds to the thoughts you hold with faith. Thoughts are not just fleeting whispers in your head. They are energetic forces that shape your emotions, guide your actions, and ultimately create your results. The challenge most people face is that they underestimate the significance of a single thought. They think transformation requires years of effort, massive resources, or external miracles. But real change begins within. A man may spend decades waiting for his circumstances to change, but the moment he shifts his thinking, everything around him starts to realign. When you decide to replace fear with courage, resentment with forgiveness, or doubt with faith, you set into motion a ripple effect that alters not only your inner world, but also the external events of your life. A single thought can be the difference between giving up and holding on. Think of those moments when life feels overwhelming, when everything seems to be falling apart. In that moment, the thought that crosses your mind will determine whether you sink or rise. If the thought is, "I cannot endure this," then defeat is inevitable. But if the thought is, this too shall pass, strength arises. If the thought is, I will find a way, solutions appear. When you are tempted to give up, remember that one empowering thought can be the bridge between despair and hope, between failure and success. This truth is not just philosophical, it is scientific. Studies in neuroscience have shown that thoughts literally reshape the brain. The pathways you strengthen are the ones that grow, while the ones you neglect eventually fade. When you consistently focus on thoughts of empowerment, gratitude, and possibility, your brain wires itself to expect and create more of the same. This means you are not a prisoner of old patterns. You can literally reprogram your brain with one thought at a time. Imagine the impact of holding a thought like, I am capable of achieving my dreams, and reinforcing it daily until it becomes part of your identity. That thought, repeated and believed, becomes a neurological reality that drives your actions and rewrites your future. Consider also the emotional power of a thought. When you think about failure, your body feels heavy, your energy drains, and your motivation disappears. But when you think about victory, even if it hasn't yet happened, your body responds with energy, excitement, and courage. Your heart beats faster, your posture straightens, and your confidence rises. Thoughts are not abstract, they have a physical impact. The body follows where the mind leads. If you want your life to feel alive and powerful, begin by directing your thoughts toward the life you desire. You are always one thought away from a completely different life. You may feel stuck, but the thought of possibility can unstick you. You may feel lost, but the thought of clarity can guide you. You may feel powerless, but the thought of strength can restore you. Transformation is not about doing everything at once. It is about choosing the right thought and holding on to it long enough for it to shape your actions. Think about the times you experienced breakthroughs in the past. Was it not because you thought differently in that moment? Perhaps you once thought, I deserve better, and that led you to change jobs or pursue education. Perhaps you once thought, I can heal, and that led you to commit to healthier habits. Those were not coincidences, they were demonstrations of the power of a single thought. The invitation before you today is simple. Choose one empowering thought and let it guide your life. Do not underestimate its potential. One thought can ignite faith. One thought can awaken courage. One thought can attract love. One thought can set you free. Instead of entertaining thousands of thoughts that scatter your energy, focus on the one thought that aligns with the life you desire. Nurture it, protect it, repeat it, and watch how it begins to shape your reality. When you look back years from now, you may realize that the moment everything changed was not when circumstances shifted, but when your thinking did. You may discover that the turning point was not an external event, but the quiet decision to embrace one powerful thought. That thought might be, I am enough. It might be, I will not give up. It might be, I am capable of greatness. Whatever it is, hold on to it, because it carries within it the seed of transformation. Your destiny is not written by chance. It is written by the thoughts you choose to believe. If you want to change your life, change your thoughts. Begin with one, because one is enough to create momentum, one is enough to shift perspective, and one is enough to transform everything. Never underestimate the power of a single thought, for it can be the spark that lights up the path to your best life. Every human life is shaped not only by external circumstances, but far more deeply by the internal lens through which those circumstances are viewed. What we call destiny is often nothing more than the consistent direction of our thoughts and beliefs. When we think in a certain way, we act in a certain way. And when we act in a certain way, we live in a certain way. This is why two people born into the same environment, facing the same obstacles, can end up in completely different places. One may rise above every limitation, while the other may remain trapped in a cycle of struggle. The difference between them is not luck, not chance, not even intelligence. It is mindset. Mindset is the foundation of destiny, and the moment you shift the way you think, you alter the path of your entire future. It is easy to blame life for being unfair, to believe that some people are destined for greatness while others are destined for struggle. But life does not choose favorites in this way. What life does is respond to the direction of your inner world. If you believe you are powerless, life reflects back to you experiences that confirm that belief. If you believe you are capable of more, life begins to reveal opportunities that align with that thought. Your destiny is a mirror of your mindset. This is why shifting the way you think is the most powerful step you can ever take. You may not be able to change your past, you may not be able to control every circumstance, but you can change the way you interpret those circumstances, and that single shift has the power to rewrite your future. Mindset is like a pair of glasses through which you view reality. If the lens is tinted with fear, everything looks threatening. If the lens is colored with doubt, everything looks impossible. If the lens is filled with anger, everything feels unjust. But if you change the lens, the world itself seems to change. Replace fear with faith, and suddenly challenges look like opportunities. Replace doubt with confidence, and doors that once seemed locked begin to open. Replace anger with gratitude, and even the smallest blessings begin to shine brightly. The world outside does not always shift immediately, but the world inside you can, and that is the first and most essential step toward transformation. Consider the story of a person who grows up hearing that they will never amount to anything. If they accept that belief, if they allow it to become their mindset, their destiny will naturally bend in the direction of failure. They will avoid risks, they will silence their dreams, and they will live below their potential. But imagine if one day they begin to entertain a different thought: I am capable of more. That new thought reshapes their mindset, and that mindset reshapes their actions. They start studying harder, working smarter, reaching further, and suddenly their life begins to unfold in a new way. Nothing in their environment changed overnight, but their destiny shifted the moment their mindset did. What is remarkable about mindset is that it not only influences what we do, but also what we notice. When your mind is focused on problems, you see nothing but obstacles. But when your mind is focused on solutions, opportunities that were always there suddenly come into view. It is not that the opportunities appeared magically. They were there all along, but your mindset blinded you from seeing them. A negative mindset narrows vision, while a growth mindset expands it. The shift in destiny comes not because the world changes instantly, but because your awareness changes, and when your awareness expands, your actions naturally follow. It is important to understand that shifting mindset is not about pretending that everything is perfect. It is not about denying pain, hardship, or challenges. It is about choosing a perspective that empowers you rather than paralyzes you. When difficulties arise, you can say, "This is the end for me," or you can say, "This is the beginning of my growth." The circumstance is the same, but the mindset determines whether you remain stuck or whether you rise. Every great leader, every inspiring figure who overcame struggle did so not because they had a perfect life, but because they had a perspective that turned struggle into strength. Mindset is also contagious. The energy you carry within you influences the people around you, and in turn, their energy influences you. When you walk into a room filled with negative people, you feel drained. When you walk into a room filled with hopeful, optimistic people, you feel uplifted. Your mindset not only shapes your own destiny, but it also shapes the atmosphere of your relationships, your family, your workplace, and even your community. This is why choosing to shift your mindset is not a selfish act. It is a gift to everyone connected to you. When you choose to think in a way that uplifts and empowers, you give others permission to do the same. Think about the role mindset plays in resilience. Life inevitably brings disappointment, loss, and unexpected challenges. A fixed mindset says, "This is unfair and I will never recover." But a growth mindset says, "This is painful, but I can learn and rise stronger." The first response leads to despair. The second leads to healing and eventual victory. The circumstance may not be in your control, but the mindset always is. Destiny is not about what happens to you. It is about what you decide those events mean. Two people can go through the same storm. One comes out broken, the other comes out stronger. The difference is not the storm, it is the mindset that walked through it. Science itself has proven this truth. Psychologists like Carol Dweck have shown how a growth mindset, the belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed, leads to higher achievement, greater resilience, and more success than a fixed mindset. Neuroscience has revealed that the brain is not static, it rewires itself based on the thoughts you consistently entertain. This means that destiny is not rigidly set in stone, it is fluid, shaped daily by your mindset. If you think you cannot change, you lock yourself into stagnation. If you believe you can change, you set into motion the neural pathways and habits that create that change. One of the most empowering realizations is that your mindset is your choice. You may not have chosen the family you were born into, the challenges you face, or the losses you've endured, but you always have the power to choose how you will respond to them. You can choose to see failure as evidence of inadequacy, or you can choose to see it as a lesson on the path to success. You can choose to see rejection as proof of unworthiness, or you can choose to see it as redirection towards something greater. Every choice of perspective is a brick laid in the foundation of your destiny. Destiny is not a distant event waiting at the end of your life. It is being shaped right now in the thoughts you hold and the mindset you cultivate. When you shift your mindset to one of faith, courage, and determination, your destiny unfolds in alignment with those qualities. If you shift your mindset to gratitude, abundance flows more freely into your life because you recognize and attract it. If you shift your mindset to possibility, you find yourself daring to try things that once terrified you, and those actions lead to outcomes you never imagined. There will always be voices, internal and external, that try to pull you back into limitation. There will always be circumstances that tempt you to adopt a mindset of fear or defeat. But every time you catch yourself falling into that pattern and make a conscious decision to shift, you reclaim your power over destiny. That moment of awareness is the turning point. The moment you say, I refuse to think this way any longer, you break a cycle that may have lasted for years, and you create a new path. Imagine standing at a crossroads with two paths stretching before you. One is the path of negativity, doubt, and limitation. The other is the path of possibility, courage, and faith. The path you walk will determine where you end up in 5 years, 10 years, or even tomorrow. And the only thing that determines which path you take is your mindset in this moment. If you shift it, you shift your steps. If you shift your steps, you shift your journey. And if you shift your journey, you shift your destiny. The beauty of life is that it is never too late to shift. No matter how many years you have spent thinking in a way that limited you, you can choose differently today. Your past mindset does not have to dictate your future. One shift can alter everything. The moment you decide to see yourself as capable instead of incapable, worthy instead of unworthy, strong instead of weak, you open the door to a completely different destiny. You do not need to wait for permission. You do not need to wait for the perfect conditions. You simply need to decide. Your mindset is the steering wheel of your life. If you keep turning it toward fear, you will keep ending up in places of regret. If you turn it toward faith, you will find yourself arriving at places of fulfillment. If you turn it toward love, you will discover relationships that heal and uplift. If you turn it toward growth, you will constantly evolve into the best version of yourself. The choice is yours, and the impact of that choice is immeasurable. So when you think about destiny, do not see it as something mysterious or unreachable. See it as the natural outgrowth of your mindset. If you want to transform your future, begin by transforming your thoughts today. Train your mind to see possibility where others see limitation. Train your mind to believe in abundance where others see scarcity. Train your mind to focus on gratitude rather than complaint. Each of these shifts builds momentum, and soon you will find yourself walking a path that feels divinely aligned with who you were created to be. Destiny does not change overnight, but it begins to change the very moment your mindset does. That single shift can alter how you feel, how you act, and how the universe responds to you. When you realize that your future is not waiting for luck, but responding to your mindset, you begin to take responsibility for every thought you nurture. You stop blaming circumstances and start reclaiming your power. And in that moment, you discover the truth. Shifting your mindset is not just a small change. It is the master key to shifting your destiny. Every one of us comes into this world as pure potential. A newborn does not yet know the word impossible, does not yet fear failure, does not yet question whether they are worthy of love or capable of greatness. They simply exist in a state of being open to life, curious, and willing to learn. But as we grow, we begin to absorb the voices of others, the doubts of parents, the criticisms of teachers, the comparisons of society, the fears of our culture. Slowly, almost without realizing it, we begin to build a set of beliefs about ourselves and about life. Some of those beliefs empower us, but many of them limit us. They become invisible chains that we carry with us, and before long we begin to mistake those chains for truth. We start to live not according to who we truly are, but according to the limits of what we believe about ourselves. Limiting beliefs are like invisible walls. You cannot see them with your eyes, but you can feel them every time you try to step beyond your comfort zone. Perhaps you hear the voice in your head saying, "I'm not good enough," or "People like me never succeed," or "I will always struggle." These are not truths, but when repeated often enough, they take on the weight of truth. They shape the way you see opportunities, the way you interpret failure, and the way you approach your own potential. A person who believes they are destined to fail will sabotage their own progress before it even begins. A person who believes they are unworthy of love will push away relationships that could heal them. A person who believes wealth is only for others will ignore opportunities for prosperity that are right in front of them. The tragedy is not that these opportunities do not exist, but that the beliefs we carry blind us to them. To let go of limiting beliefs, we must first recognize them. Many people go through life assuming that their beliefs are facts. They say, "This is just the way things are," without ever questioning whether that thought was planted by someone else. A child told repeatedly that they are not smart enough begins to live under that shadow. An adult who fails once in business may carry the belief that they are not cut out for success. These beliefs may feel real, but they are nothing more than stories that we continue to tell ourselves. They are not fixed realities, they are interpretations, and interpretations can change. The power to transform your life begins with the courage to ask yourself, what beliefs am I carrying that are holding me back, and are they really true? The truth is that limiting beliefs are rarely based on actual evidence. More often, they are based on isolated moments of pain or failure that we generalized into permanent truths. Maybe someone rejected you once and you concluded, "I am unlovable." Maybe you tried something new and didn't succeed, and you decided, "I am a failure." Maybe you grew up in scarcity and decided, "Abundance is not for people like me." These beliefs feel heavy because they carry the emotions of those early experiences, but they are not reality. They are simply conclusions you drew in moments of vulnerability. And just as you once created them, you have the power to uncreate them. Letting go of limiting beliefs is like shedding old skin. It can feel uncomfortable because these beliefs have been part of you for so long that they almost feel like your identity. But the truth is, they are not who you are. They are simply thoughts you have carried for too long. You are not good enough. You are not always destined to fail. You are not too late or too broken. You are a limitless being who has been temporarily convinced of limitation. The process of letting go begins when you stop identifying with those beliefs and start seeing them for what they are, stories you no longer need to carry. Think of how many dreams die in silence because of limiting beliefs. A writer never finishes their book because they believe no one will care to read it. A singer never shares their voice because they believe they are not talented enough. A student never applies for the scholarship because they believe someone else is more deserving. None of these failures are due to lack of ability. They are due to beliefs that killed the dream before it even had a chance to live. Imagine the collective potential of humanity if every person let go of the belief that they were not enough and instead stepped into the truth of their infinite capacity. The world would be filled with creators, innovators, leaders, and healers. And it can be, but begins with individuals like you daring to drop the beliefs that no longer serve you. The process of releasing limiting beliefs requires both awareness and replacement. You cannot simply say, "I will not believe this anymore," and expect it to disappear. The mind does not work that way. You must replace the old belief with one that empowers you. If your limiting belief is, "I am not worthy of success," you must begin to adopt the belief, "I am capable and deserving of success." If your limiting belief is, "I will always be alone," you must begin to say, "I am worthy of love and connection." It may feel false at first because your mind is used to the old story, but repetition and faith are powerful. Just as you once repeated the limiting belief until it felt real, you can repeat an empowering belief until it feels like truth. The mind cannot distinguish between a thought that is imagined and one that is experienced. It simply believes what it is told consistently. Science supports this. Neuroscience shows us that thoughts literally rewire the brain through neuroplasticity. The more you think a thought, the stronger the neural pathway becomes. If you continually feed yourself limiting beliefs, those pathways dominate. But the moment you begin to feed your mind with empowering beliefs, new pathways form, and over time, the old ones weaken. This means that no limiting belief is permanent. Every belief is malleable, and every belief can be reshaped. The question is not whether you can let go of limiting beliefs, but whether you are willing to practice the discipline of replacing them with thoughts that align with the life you want to create. Letting go also requires forgiveness, both of yourself and of others. Many limiting beliefs were handed to us by people who were themselves trapped in limitation. Perhaps a parent said harsh words, not because they were true, but because they were repeating their own pain. Perhaps a teacher discouraged you because they could not see your potential. Perhaps you failed once and never forgave yourself for it. Holding on to those moments strengthens the belief that you are limited. But when you choose forgiveness, you break the chain. You recognize that others' words do not define you, that your past does not define you, and that the power to define yourself rests only in your own hands. Forgiveness is not about excusing harm. It is about releasing its hold on your mind so that you can move forward unburdened. The greatest danger of limiting beliefs is that they create self-fulfilling prophecies. If you believe you cannot succeed, you will not try. If you believe you cannot be loved, you will sabotage relationships. If you believe you cannot change, you will not take steps toward transformation. The belief creates the reality, and then the reality seems to confirm the belief. This is a cycle that can last a lifetime if left unchallenged. But the moment you recognize that the cycle is built on a belief and not on truth, you can break free. You can say, "This may have been my story until now, but it is not the story I will continue to write." In that moment, the cycle shatters and possibility returns. Imagine standing on the edge of a cliff, afraid to leap, because you believe your wings will not hold you. That is what living under limiting beliefs feels like. The ground beneath you feels safe, but it is small, confined, and stagnant. The sky above you is vast, filled with potential, but you never dare to fly because of the belief that you cannot. The only way to discover the truth is to leap despite the belief. And when you do, you realize that the belief was the only thing ever holding you back. Your wings were there all along, waiting for you to trust them. Letting go of limiting beliefs is not a one-time event. It is a continual practice. New challenges will always bring new doubts. But once you understand the process, awareness, forgiveness, replacement, and persistence, you can apply it again and again. Each time you do, you strengthen your ability to live free from limitation. Each time you choose to step into a new belief, you expand your capacity to create a life aligned with your true potential. Ultimately, letting go of limiting beliefs is about reclaiming your identity. You are not the labels others gave you. You are not the mistakes you made. You are not the fears that once paralyzed you. You are a being of infinite possibility, capable of growth, transformation, and greatness. The beliefs you choose to hold determine the life you live, so choose wisely. If you want freedom, choose beliefs that empower. If you want love, choose beliefs that affirm your worthiness. If you want success, choose beliefs that align with abundance and perseverance. Your beliefs are the blueprint of your reality, and when you let go of the ones that confine you, you finally step into the truth of who you were always meant to be. You may not control every circumstance of life, but you control the beliefs you carry into those circumstances. And when you release the beliefs that hold you down, you rise. You rise into strength. You rise into purpose. You rise into a destiny that was waiting for you all along. There comes a point in every person's journey when the challenges ahead seem greater than the strength within. Life presents storms that shake our foundation, losses that tear at our hearts, and obstacles that seem too high to climb. In these moments, it is natural to feel small, powerless, and uncertain. Yet the truth is that within you lies a strength far greater than anything you have ever imagined. It is not always visible. It does not always roar, but it is there, quiet and steady, waiting to be embraced. Embracing your inner strength does not mean denying weakness, nor does it mean pretending that life is easy. It means recognizing that no matter what comes your way, you already carry within you the power to endure, to rise, and to overcome. Many people spend their lives searching for strength outside of themselves. They look for validation from others, for encouragement from the world, for circumstances to align in their favor. While these things can help, they are not the source of lasting strength. True strength is not borrowed. It is discovered. It does not come from the approval of others, but from the acceptance of yourself. It does not come from a life free of hardship, but from the courage to face hardship with resilience. Embracing inner strength means you no longer wait for external conditions to empower you. Instead, you begin to draw upon the reservoir within, realizing that you are stronger than you have been led to believe. Think of the times in your life when you believed you could not go on, yet somehow you did. Think of the nights when grief seemed unbearable, but you made it through to see another dawn. Think of the battles you faced that you thought would break you, but here you are, still standing. Those moments reveal a truth you must never forget. You are stronger than you know. Inner strength is not measured by the absence of struggle. It is revealed through the presence of perseverance. Every hardship you have survived has been proof of strength already within you. Embracing it means no longer doubting it, no longer dismissing it, but choosing to stand firmly in it. The beauty of inner strength is that it is not limited by circumstances. You may lose money, status, or relationships, but you cannot lose your inner strength unless you abandon it. It is not dependent on what you have. It is rooted in who you are. This is why some people with very little externally are able to endure incredible hardship with grace and dignity, while others with much abundance crumble under pressure. The difference is not resources. It is the ability to draw upon the deep well of resilience inside. Embracing inner strength means recognizing that your greatest resource has always been within you, not around you. One of the barriers to embracing inner strength is the belief that strength must look loud and unshakable. We are often taught to see strength as force, as dominance, as never bending. But real strength often looks very different. Sometimes it looks like patience when you want to rush. Sometimes it looks like forgiveness when you want revenge. Sometimes it looks like gentleness when anger feels easier. Inner strength is not about overpowering life, but about enduring it with grace. It is not about never falling, but about rising every time you do. When you begin to redefine strength in this way, you realize that you already embody it more than you think. Another obstacle is comparison. Too often we look at others and assume they are stronger, braver, or more capable than we are. We see their confidence and compare it to our insecurities, forgetting that strength is not always visible. The truth is, everyone has moments of fear and doubt. What separates those who seem strong is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it. Strength is not about never feeling weak. It is about refusing to let weakness dictate your life. When you stop comparing your journey to others and begin to focus on your own resilience, you find that strength has been present all along. Embracing inner strength requires trust. Trust in yourself, trust in the process of life, trust in the belief that you are capable of more than you realize. Fear whispers that you cannot handle what lies ahead, but faith answers that you can. Doubt says you are too small, but strength says you are more than enough. Every time you choose to trust your inner voice rather than the voice of fear, you take another step into your own power. Trust is the doorway to strength, because it is through trust that you discover abilities you never knew you had. Life has a way of testing our strength, not to break us, but to reveal us. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Muscles are strengthened through resistance. Trees grow deepest roots when faced with strong winds. In the same way, your inner strength grows through the very challenges you wish you could avoid. When you face adversity and rise through it, you emerge stronger than you were before. The pain you endure becomes the proof of your resilience, and the trial you overcome becomes the testimony of your strength. Embracing inner strength means no longer seeing challenges as punishments, but as opportunities to uncover the depth of your own power. Inner strength is also about self-compassion. Too often, we equate strength with harshness toward ourselves, believing we must be unyielding to be strong. But real strength does not come from self-criticism, it comes from self-acceptance. When you embrace your flaws, your mistakes, and your humanity without shame, you free yourself from the burden of perfection. This freedom allows you to rise stronger because you are no longer wasting energy fighting yourself. Self-compassion says, I may fall, but I am not defined by my fall. I may struggle, but I am not diminished by my struggle. I am still worthy, still capable, still strong. Strength that is rooted in compassion is unshakable because it is not conditional on flawless performance. It is anchored in unconditional acceptance of who you are. Consider also the role of inner strength and perseverance. Dreams are not achieved overnight. Goals are not reached without effort. Along the journey, there will be setbacks, rejections, and moments of exhaustion. Without inner strength, these obstacles become reasons to quit. But with inner strength, they become reasons to keep going. Inner strength whispers, keep moving forward, even when the road is long. It says, this is not the end, even when everything feels uncertain. It reminds you that progress is often invisible until it suddenly becomes undeniable. Embracing inner strength allows you to continue walking even when you cannot yet see the finish line, because you trust that the journey itself is shaping you into who you need to be. Inner strength is not only for great battles, it is for everyday living. It shows up when you choose kindness in the face of cruelty. It shows up when you keep your integrity in moments of temptation. It shows up when you get out of bed on a difficult day and decide to face life anyway. These small acts of courage are the building blocks of resilience. When you recognize them for what they are, you realize that strength is not something you are waiting to find. It is something you have been practicing all along. Embracing inner strength means honoring these small victories as evidence that you are already stronger than you think. You may wonder, how do I embrace the strength when I feel so weak? The answer is to begin where you are. Strength does not require grand gestures. It requires small, consistent choices. Each time you choose hope over despair, you are strengthening yourself. Each time you choose to try again after failure, you are building resilience. Each time you choose to believe in your worth despite rejection, you are proving your power. Strength is not something you suddenly become, it is something you continually grow into. The act of embracing it is less about acquiring it and more about acknowledging what is already there. At the core of embracing inner strength is the recognition that you are never truly powerless. Life may strip away possessions, relationships, and even health, but it cannot strip away the power of your spirit unless you surrender it. That spirit, that core of who you are, is untouchable. It is the spark that carries you through dark nights, the light that refuses to be extinguished. When you connect to that inner source, you realize that strength is not something you use up, it is something that flows endlessly as long as you allow it. The journey of life will continue to bring moments that test you. There will be times when the mountain looks too high, when the burden feels too heavy, when the future feels too uncertain. But remember this truth, you have already overcome more than you thought you could. You have already faced storms you believed would destroy you, and yet you are still here. That is proof of strength, and if you did it once, you can do it again. Embracing inner strength means walking into the future with the memory of past victories, knowing that no matter what comes, the power within you is greater than the obstacle before you. So embrace the strength within you. Trust it, nurture it, and lean on it. It is not arrogance to believe in your own resilience. It is wisdom. It is not pride to acknowledge your power. It is truth. You are stronger than the doubts in your mind, stronger than the challenges in your path, stronger than the fears in your heart. And when you choose to embrace that strength, you step into a life not defined by weakness or limitation, but by courage, resilience, and unstoppable possibility. Life is not meant to be lived by accident. Too often, people wake up each day and drift through their routines without ever stopping to ask why they do what they do, where they are heading, or what truly matters to them. They go to work because they must, they fulfill obligations because it is expected, and they measure success by standards they never chose for themselves. Without realizing it, they become passengers in their own lives, moved along by external forces, reacting to circumstances instead of shaping them. Living this way can create a sense of emptiness, even when everything on the surface seems fine. Something deep inside begins to whisper, there must be more than this. That whisper is the call to live with intention and purpose. Living with intention means deciding with clarity how you want to show up in the world, and then aligning your actions with that decision. It means no longer allowing distractions, opinions, or random events to dictate your path. It is about moving from autopilot to awareness, from drifting to directing, from surviving to truly living. Purpose gives life direction, and intention gives it structure. When you live intentionally, every choice matters because you recognize that your choices are not random. They are the building blocks of your destiny. Consider how different life feels when you wake up with purpose. Instead of being dragged out of bed by obligations, you rise with a sense of meaning. Instead of reacting to the day's challenges with frustration, you respond with clarity because you know what you are working toward. Instead of feeling lost in the noise of the world, you carry an inner compass that points you toward what truly matters. Purpose does not eliminate challenges, but it gives you a reason to endure them. Intention does not erase distractions, but it gives you the focus to overcome them. When you live with intention and purpose, even ordinary days become meaningful because you are no longer just existing, you are creating. The opposite is also true. When people lack intention, they often waste their energy on things that do not matter. They chase approval from others, pour themselves into pursuits that leave them unfulfilled, or become consumed by habits that offer momentary comfort but long-term emptiness. They say yes to what they do not want and no to what they deeply desire, all because they have never taken the time to ask, what is my purpose? What is the life I want to live? Without those questions, life becomes scattered, and a scattered life cannot lead to fulfillment. Purpose is not something you stumble upon by chance. It is something you discover by listening to your heart and paying attention to what lights your soul. Too many people think purpose must be something grand, like saving the world or changing millions of lives. But purpose can be found in simple, meaningful living. It may be the purpose of raising a family with love, of creating beauty through art, of serving others with compassion, of spreading kindness in a world that desperately needs it. Purpose is not defined by scale, it is defined by sincerity. What matters is not how big it looks to others, but how true it feels to you. Living with intention requires discipline. It means learning to say no to the distractions that steal your time, and yes to the actions that align with your purpose. It means choosing progress over comfort, values over convenience, meaning over mediocrity. This is not always easy, because the world is full of noise pulling you in every direction. But when you live with intention, you no longer allow the noise to drown out your inner voice. You choose to live by design, not by default. You decide what matters most and then align your life around it. Think of a ship without a captain. It may drift for years, carried by the winds and currents, but it will never reach a destination on purpose. The same is true for life without intention. You may go far, you may stay busy, you may even appear successful to others, but you will never feel fulfilled because you are drifting instead of directing. Intention is the captain's hand on the wheel, steering toward a chosen destination. Purpose is the destination itself, the reason for the journey. Without them, you may move, but you will not arrive. With them, even the storms become part of a meaningful voyage. One of the greatest benefits of living with intention and purpose is clarity. Clarity simplifies life. When you know your purpose, you no longer waste energy on what does not serve it. You no longer chase goals that look impressive but feel empty. You no longer say yes to everything because you are afraid of missing out. Instead, you say yes to what matters most and no to what does not. This clarity creates peace because you are no longer torn in 1,000 directions. Your path may still be challenging, but it is focused, and a focused life is a powerful life. Living with intention also brings authenticity. When you are intentional, you stop trying to live by other people's expectations. You stop molding yourself to fit into boxes that were never meant for you. You stop measuring your worth by comparison. Instead, you begin to live in alignment with your values and desires. You begin to speak your truth, pursue your passions, and express your uniqueness. This authenticity is liberating because there is no greater strength than the freedom to be yourself. And when you live authentically, you inspire others to do the same. Another gift of intention and purpose is resilience. When life gets difficult, those who live without purpose often collapse under the weight of challenges because they have no deeper reason to keep going. But when you are anchored in purpose, you endure. You endure not because life is easy, but because you know why you must. A person who lives with purpose can face rejection, failure, and setbacks without losing hope because they know these are temporary obstacles on the way to something meaningful. Intention fuels persistence, and purpose fuels courage. Together, they give you the strength to keep moving forward, even when the path is hard. Purpose also brings fulfillment. True fulfillment does not come from wealth, status, or possessions. These things may bring comfort or temporary satisfaction, but they cannot fill the deeper hunger of the soul. Fulfillment comes from living in alignment with what you were meant to do, from using your gifts in service of something greater than yourself, from knowing that your days have meaning. When you live with intention and purpose, even the smallest actions, like a kind word, a helping hand, or a step toward a dream, carry weight. You begin to see that your life is not random, that every moment can matter if you choose to make it matter. Living with intention and purpose also requires reflection. You cannot know what truly matters to you unless you pause long enough to listen. Too many people fill their lives with business, drowning out the quiet voice of their heart. But when you stop, reflect, and ask yourself what kind of life you want to create, answers begin to surface. This reflection is not about what the world expects of you, but about what your soul longs for. Maybe your purpose is to create, to heal, to teach, to serve, or to lead. Maybe your intention is to live with kindness, to pursue growth, to love deeply, or to leave a legacy of compassion. Whatever it is, it must come from within you, not from outside. Only then will it feel authentic and lasting. The beauty of living with intention and purpose is that it transforms even ordinary days into extraordinary ones. A simple meal becomes an act of love when shared intentionally. A routine task becomes meaningful when done in service of your purpose. A conversation becomes powerful when guided by the intention to connect. Life does not become extraordinary by chance, it becomes extraordinary by choice. When you choose to live with purpose, you bring meaning into every moment. It is important to remember that purpose is not static. It evolves as you grow, as your experiences shape you, and as your values deepen. What feels like your purpose today may expand tomorrow, and that is natural. Intention, too, must be renewed daily. It is not enough to set it once and forget it. Each morning you must choose again. How will I live today? What will I give my energy to? What kind of person do I want to be in this moment? These daily choices shape the long arc of your life. Living with intention and purpose is not a one-time decision. It is a way of being. If you want to live with intention and purpose, start now. You do not need to wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, or the perfect circumstances. Begin by asking yourself, what matters most to me? What values do I want to embody? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? Then take one step each day in alignment with those answers. Small steps compound into great change. The person who begins with intention today will, in time, build a life of deep meaning and lasting fulfillment. In the end, life is not measured by how much you accumulated, but by how much you aligned. Did you align your actions with your values? Did you align your time with your priorities? Did you align your gifts with your purpose? These are the questions that determine whether your life was lived fully or merely spent. And when you choose to live with intention and purpose, you can answer those questions with peace, knowing that you did not just exist. You truly lived. So wake each day with purpose. Move each step with intention. Let your life be a reflection of what you value most. Do not drift aimlessly when you were meant to create meaning. Do not live by default when you were called to live by design. You hold the power to choose your path. And when you choose to live with intention and purpose, you unlock a life of fulfillment, resilience, and joy. Every thought you hold in your mind is like a stone dropped into a still pond. The ripples spread outward, touching the surface far beyond the point of impact. In the same way, the thoughts you cultivate within yourself extend beyond your own life, influencing your emotions, your actions, your relationships, and even the world around you. Positive thinking is not just an internal exercise, it is a force that creates waves of impact far greater than you can see. What begins as a single choice to focus on the good, to expect the best, or to believe in possibility extends outward into every area of your life, leaving behind a trail of influence that can transform not only you, but everyone you encounter. The mind is a powerful filter. Two people can walk through the same day, face the same circumstances, and yet live completely different experiences depending on the thoughts they choose to hold. One may dwell on what went wrong, magnifying frustration and bitterness. The other may focus on what went right, magnifying gratitude and hope. The circumstances are the same, but the experiences are worlds apart. This is the ripple effect of thinking. Negative thoughts breed more negativity, creating ripples of stress, anger, and hopelessness. Positive thoughts breed more positivity, creating ripples of peace, kindness, and joy. The choice between the two determines not only how you feel, but how you affect others. When you think positively, you begin to carry yourself differently. Your posture changes, your tone of voice softens, your words carry encouragement rather than complaint. People around you feel that shift, even if they cannot name it. Your positivity becomes a silent invitation for others to lift themselves as well. A smile offered to a stranger may inspire them to pass kindness to someone else. A word of encouragement to a colleague may give them the courage to face a challenge with confidence. What started as one thought in your mind becomes a chain reaction, rippling outward into countless lives. That is the unseen power of choosing to think positively. Positive thinking does not mean ignoring reality or pretending that pain does not exist. It does not mean plastering on a smile while denying hardship. True positivity is not denial, it is perspective. It is the ability to acknowledge challenges while refusing to be defined by them. It is choosing to see possibilities where others see only problems. It is believing that setbacks are temporary, that failure is not final, and that every challenge carries within it an opportunity for growth. This kind of thinking creates resilience, and resilience is contagious. When others see you facing difficulties with hope rather than despair, they are reminded that they too can endure. Your thoughts also shape your decisions, and your decisions shape your destiny. When you think positively, you are more likely to take action, to persevere, to pursue opportunities that fear might otherwise steal from you. You are more likely to attract relationships that uplift you because positivity draws people in. You are more likely to notice doors opening because your mind is trained to look for them instead of dwelling on the walls. These choices accumulate, and over time they change the trajectory of your life. But the ripple effect goes further. Your decisions do not only impact you, they impact those around you. A parent who thinks positively instills hope in their children. A leader who chooses optimism inspires a team to push forward. A teacher who believes in their students plants seeds of confidence that may grow for a lifetime. Consider how negative thinking spreads. One harsh word can ruin someone's day. One act of anger can trigger another. One person's bitterness can poison an entire room. But the reverse is equally true. One kind word can restore hope. One act of patience can stop a cycle of anger. One person's optimism can lift the spirit of a whole group. Every thought you choose contributes to the atmosphere around you. Like a drop of dye in water, it does not remain contained. It colors everything it touches. Positive thinking creates ripples of light, and in a world that often feels heavy with negativity, those ripples matter more than ever. The ripple effect also extends inward. When you choose positive thoughts consistently, they begin to rewire the patterns of your brain. Science has shown that the brain forms new pathways based on repeated focus. If you consistently dwell on fear and doubt, those pathways grow stronger, making negativity your default. But if you consistently dwell on gratitude, hope, and possibility, those pathways strengthen instead, making positivity more natural over time. This internal ripple shapes your emotions, your health, and even your longevity. Positive thinking reduces stress, strengthens the immune system, and contributes to overall well-being. What begins as a thought becomes a physical ripple affecting your entire body. Sometimes the greatest impact of positive thinking is not seen in grand gestures, but in small, consistent choices. It is the choice to look for what you can control instead of obsessing over what you cannot. It is the choice to count blessings instead of complaints. It is the choice to expect good outcomes instead of assuming the worst. Each of these choices creates ripples, and though they may feel small in the moment, together they build a current that shapes the direction of your life. Small ripples multiplied daily become waves of transformation. Positive thinking also expands your vision. When you believe good is possible, your mind becomes open to solutions, to creativity, to ideas that negativity would have blocked. Opportunities appear not because they were not there before, but because positivity sharpened your ability to see them. This expanded vision not only benefits you, it benefits everyone around you. A problem solver brings hope to a team. A dreamer inspires courage in a community. A visionary plants seeds of progress in a generation. One person who refuses to be consumed by negativity can create ripples of innovation and change far beyond their own life. Living with positive thinking also creates a legacy. Long after your words are forgotten, the way you made people feel remains. If your thoughts lead to actions of kindness, encouragement, and hope, then your impact will ripple through the lives of others long after you are gone. Someone you encourage today may encourage someone else years from now. Someone you believed in may go on to believe in others. Someone who felt hope in your presence may carry that hope into their own circle. Your thoughts, lived out through actions, can ripple across generations. But perhaps the most profound ripple effect of positive thinking is how it changes your relationship with yourself. Many people are harsh with their own minds, filled with self-criticism, fear, and doubt. When you begin to think positively about yourself, when you believe in your worth, when you affirm your strengths, when you speak kindly to your own heart, you create ripples of self-respect and confidence. This inner shift influences how you show up in every area of life. It affects the risks you take, the dreams you pursue, and the boundaries you set. And when you treat yourself with positivity, you unconsciously give others permission to do the same for themselves. Imagine a world where each person chose to think just one more positive thought each day. A thought of gratitude instead of complaint. A thought of hope instead of despair. A thought of love instead of resentment. Those thoughts would ripple outward, shaping words, actions, and attitudes until the world itself began to feel lighter. This is not wishful thinking. It is the reality of influence. History has shown us time and again that great movements of change often begin with the mindset of a single person whose courage and positivity spread like ripples into the lives of many. So never underestimate the power of your thoughts. Never believe that positivity is too small to matter. Every thought you choose is a ripple, and those ripples add up to waves that can shape your life, your community, and even the world. Choose to think with hope, with faith, with love. Choose to look for what is possible, even in impossible situations. Choose to believe that light is stronger than darkness, and that good is stronger than evil. When you live this way, you not only transform your own life, you send out ripples that will touch countless others in ways you may never fully see. The ripple effect of positive thinking is real. It is powerful. It is unstoppable when embraced. And it begins with you in this moment, with the next thought you choose to hold.